Well, good morning everybody. It's 7 o'clock on the 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I'm just out here checking on some of those nukes that I fed last week. It's only in the last 2 or 3 days that they've really started going through the sugar, even the ones that I showed you that had quite a lot of bees up eating it. But in the last 2 days, those colonies have taken down quite a lot of the sugar. In fact, it's nearly all gone in one of them, I think. So I'm after coming out here this morning. I'm just going to feed those ones and 2 little mating nukes that I overwintered, sort of as a trial in the Lyson mating boxes. So they need, well, they're feeling a bit light, so they need feeding as well, I think. So I'm just going to put some fondant on. I got some AP pasta from Donegal Bees there during the week, and that's what we're going to use. Also, I was in 2 of the out apiaries yesterday. One of them has, I think, what have we got? 4 nukes in it, I think, that need feeding. So I'm going to be heading over there later to give them a feed, again of fondant, AP pasta. So might be able to show that, we'll see. I was over yesterday. It was spilling rain pretty much all day, so everywhere is very wet. So we'll see if we get over today later on. Yeah, so the apiary site there, a couple of videos back that I was carrying out maintenance work in, some bad news there. When I checked on them yesterday, one of the boxes, it appears some vermin made its way up underneath. The colony's dead and frames inside are destroyed. I'll show you that maybe later. I brought the box home and took a small clip of the box just on site when I discovered it, the way I discovered it, but might just go through it later. So I have these 2 boxes here. This one, you'll see, again, they have pretty much used up all of that sugar I put in. So there's quite a lot of bees up there now. If I was to leave them now and not feed them, that there would be a risk of starvation there for sure, because you see the bees down below, even though I only put it on a week ago, they go into overdrive then. They think there's a source of food, and they go into overdrive essentially down below in the brood box. And if they use up that bit of sugar that you have given them and you don't top them up, well, then there's a kind of an emergency shutdown, as it were. But that's not a good thing for a colony at this time of the year. So the important thing is that once you start feeding, you kind of have to keep it up until there's a source of nectar out there. And no indication of that happening yet anytime soon. Yeah. So that's them. Now this colony here, I took late splits off this one. It's in a new queen, but I took late season splits off this one. So again, just because of that, I think they're a little bit on the light side anyway. So I'm just going to put, I mean there's still weight there, but I'm just afraid that they might start requiring a bit of feeding in the next few days, so I'm kind of preempting that, and I'm going to put this on. So just while we're here, with some of these polyhives, not the Abello ones now, mind, but I'm using this one on an Abello hive, you get hive straps. Some of these polyhive packages that you can get, and they include the straps, but this is the second strap that I've got, and there's another one on that hive there, and I have a few on hives on one of the out apiaries, and I'm going to say this: they are, in my view, useless. Like, the strap does its job, the ratchet does its job as a ratchet, but the fibres disintegrate. This one here, you can hear it, and one of the straps in the out apiary there, I was looking at colonies in one of the out apiaries, and the strap literally just disintegrated completely. And this is only their first winter out, so I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but basically free straps with polyhive packages, rubbish. So this is one of the other colonies that I fed, and you can see that they're there and they're doing well. They're coming up using that sugar, but I'm just not going to put a fondant block on them yet until they actually use this bit of sugar in here. Now, I checked these last night, and in actual fact, in comparison to some of the others, they had kind of abandoned the sugar for the night and had clustered back down below. But you can see here they're mad on it now. So I just don't want to be leaving fondant on them until they actually need it. So another few days and we'll get it on. It's okay for this particular site. This is the home apiary, so I'd be out looking at them pretty much every day. I'm out walking among the hives, just so it's not a big deal if I don't give them. I mean, obviously, if this is one of the out apiaries, I would give them a fondant pack now, because I know that they will use it. Similarly for this one, they're up there and they're eating it all right. But as you can see, it's still packed with sugar there. They don't need fondant just yet. So, it's simply because the likes of this one here might not use the fondant, or might not, get through that sugar over the course of this week, and by next week we could just have a sudden growth spurt, and nectar becomes available. So, and then if you put your fondant on, it's essentially wasted. So let's not do that. So you can see with this one, they have taken down a lot of that sugar. There's only small little remnants left, and they've even chewed up the bit of greaseproof paper I use in it. Now, this is a homemade sugar block. It's my own recipe that I use. I do find it very successful. The bees take it down. They do seem to do well on it, but just for the rest of my feeding this year, I'm just going to use this AP pasta fondant. I got 2 15 kilo boxes of it there from Donegal Bees. So What you do with this is you just cut a little slit in the bag. I do like to go crossways, and that just gives the bees the access then up into the bag. Peel one of those little triangles back, and there we are. And just pop that on there, and they will start making their way up that. Oh, they're not too happy. Anyway, they'll be happier once they start eating that. Oh, they're gone quiet already, see? Yeah, little bee there, don't like crushing bees. But this colony is they're actually active this morning. You can hear they not very active, but there's 1 or 2 bees coming out. They're on the hunt for water to break down that bit of sugar that they have. So these are the 2 mating boxes. You've probably seen in the videos in the background. They're 2 mating boxes. One is a cast swarm that I caught, this one here, late on. This one here again started out as a cast swarm that I found, but the queen didn't mate in it, so I ended up giving them a mated queen, and they seem to be doing quite well. So they were made up a bit earlier in the season. I think it was July when I caught the swarm. So when I caught the swarm, it was big enough to put into the double box. This one here was quite small. I got it it flew into a little birdhouse. So it's small. I'm not sure if it's going to make it, but so far there's bees. They're still alive in it. So we'll see how it goes. This one here is. I just want to trial overwintering these, because my idea, I used to use, and I still do, the little kind of I use the Swienti version, say, of the Apiary mating box, and yeah, I suppose there's all sorts of problems with them, I find, with absconding and so on. So there's more space in them, so I have 6 of them all together, but my whole idea is then that I should be able to join colonies together, stack boxes on top of each other. Obviously there'll be only 1 queen, but join the actual colonies together, and or try and overwinter them in that format. And then you don't have to be making up mating boxes every year to go and collecting bees to stock up mini mating boxes. Now I might still do that for a while. Obviously I've only 12 of these, I'm just trialing them out, but I mean, if they are a success, this is the first year I'll be using them for actual mating. If they are a success, then the plan is to plan is maybe to get rid of the mini mating boxes. They'll become defunct, and get more of these, and just then overwinter colonies in them. They're colonies that'll be solely used then, or broken down. You can get dividers inside the boxes and split them up, so you can get, there's 2 mating hives then in each box. It's all set up and ready to go, essentially, then for your queen rearing season. So I fed these colonies a lot of syrup last year to try and get them through, but obviously the box, now there is a bit of weight in this one, so they mightn't be as desperate for it, but I just feel in the next week or so, if this weather keeps up, it's just atrocious. There's nothing really growing, nothing flowering a whole lot, and anything that is flowering is getting washed off. And as I've said in my video previous, the majority of stuff that's out there anyway is really only a source of pollen at the moment. There's some dandelions starting to come into flower in spots, but the reality is any of that dandelion that's going to flower now at the moment anyway, the bees aren't really going to get out to it. So I'll just check here. You can see There's bees there starting to come up. Now my only problem is I have slugs here, and these boxes don't, or certainly I haven't seen anyway, an eek that can sit on them, which I think would be handy. So Lyson, well, or a bellow if you're listening, might be an idea just to make a little mini mating box eek, just for the purposes of overwintering these colonies and then being able to feed them fondant. But you can see there's plenty of bees up there, so my plan is I'm going to just put a half block of AP pasta on each of these, just to tide them over, and hopefully the bees will come up and take it. I just even feel a lovely bit of heat. Yeah, so I'll give them a half a block or so. Let's just cut the block here down the middle. I'll check on that in a day or so, and we'll see how they're getting on, if they're coming up to it. If not, and there is a little bit of space on the roof there that you possibly could put directly onto the top parts of the frame, but there isn't that much space in it now, to be honest, that you'd be able to. But as you can see, this little box that harbours a lot of little insects in it, slugs and stuff, but it's, in one way it's a good sign. It's a nice warm environment. Now, all I've done, one thing I have to say about these boxes is they're incredibly sturdy. They've been through, for the majority of the winter I had nothing on the roofs of these boxes, didn't even have them tied down or anything, and there was no shift in them. I just got a bit afraid there with one of the storms that came after Christmas, and put these logs up on top. Now this little one isn't as strong. In fact, I don't even have a number on it. Just because of that, I didn't actually think it was going to make it. I did feed it, but the queen, it was a cast swarm. It was an unmated queen, but then I checked them maybe about 3 weeks after I hived them in this, and it was getting quite late in the season at that stage, but she was starting to brood, so all of that was looking kind of positive. And because I'm overwintering them in quite a small box, I thought there might just be a chance. I think I actually put extra bees in them, and you can see here there's bees there, and they're coming up. Okay, they're going to be a little bit feisty, this hive, I think. There's plenty of bees coming up to meet me, but they have been using their stores. Yeah, I thought as much. They're a feisty little colony. So they are looking very good, actually. Very healthy. I'm quite surprised, quite happy to see that. Now I've one bee that's gone up my sleeve in my fleece. Bees do not like fleeces. And she hasn't stung me yet, but she keeps working further up. So anyway, that's one of the joys of beekeeping. But as you can see, they are starting to eat that already. So this is exactly what this colony need. They are very light, but you can see their population is quite a nice little population in there, and just the box was very light. So another few days and they might have been really struggling, especially in this weather where there's just little or nothing for them. Now that's them sorted for a few days, hopefully. Don't know if you can see that, but first sting of the season. This time of the year they're not too bad, I find. Scrape it out, but it's been in long enough now. I'd say that the poison has gone in, but as I said, that colony were a little bit feisty. So I'm here in the workshop again, and I have this hive here that in the out apiary that I discovered vermin got into. Colony is dead, as I've said. Some of the frames inside are completely destroyed, but I just want to go through the hive to make sure that there was nothing else untoward going on before the vermin got into the colony. This is a colony, I looked at it maybe about 3 weeks ago. There was certainly, actually, sorry, around the time when I was doing the maintenance work around the apiary, and there were bees in it, and it looked like, it certainly didn't look like it was on the way out. But that being said, you know, it can be difficult to tell when you're just looking at the top bars of a hive, and when you lift a lid and a load of bees come up to meet you over the top bars, it can be very difficult to ascertain the true size of the cluster in the hive. They were on 3 to 4 frames. I knew it was a small colony anyway. So that didn't really surprise me. It looked like there was 3 to 4 frames of bees, but obviously they were just well spread out. I think just looking at what the remnants of the cluster inside is, it's quite small. Just to show you, this is one of these straps I'm talking about. It's only been out 1 year, I think. And you can see the fibres are just coming apart, and if I actually pull it, there's another spot there, and if you just pull it, you can hear it. You can hear the fibres tearing. So that is, my friends, I'm afraid, just rubbish. You know, you don't what's the point in getting these straps if they're not even going to last 1 season. Generally speaking, I actually tend to get the mini ratchet strap sets that you get in hardware stores. There's hooks on them, all right, which can sometimes be a bit of a nuisance when you're trying to wrap the straps around the hives, but the fibres in them are a lot more durable, and certainly I've had those ratchet straps, some of them in use, out 4 or 5 years now, and no issues with them disintegrating like that. So just something to bear in mind if you're looking at hive straps. I wouldn't be going out purchasing these anyway. They came with the hive package, but yeah, they're not. Wouldn't be buying them otherwise. So let's take a look inside this hive and see what we can see. So as you can see here, everything actually, looks quite good down here in the frames. If you're looking across in the top bars, plenty of stores across the top. I'll just take off that inner cover. And again, just looking down, plenty of stores. No issue there with stores. And of course, this is what our little vermin friend, whatever type of a friend it was, this is what he was after. And I know what my mistake, or I think I know what my mistake might have been on this particular hive, and I'll show you. So look, big chunks of ivy honey, and that's what he was after. And he has gutted that frame. Sort of damage you might come across. Another frame here. Next one, I think I might just get a hive tool here. So again, significant damage done to that frame. Interestingly, there was no wax residue left at the bottom of the hive, and he just tackled these 3 frames here maybe. Yeah. Let's see where. Yeah. Didn't make it to the other side. But I'm in plenty of stores in here. But this comb, in fact, I was going to be changing out a lot of the comb. This comb, in the majority of it, is over 3 years old. It's kind of getting black. I was going to be changing out a couple of these frames anyway. And we have some brood here. As you can see, it's starting to rot already. So I'm not quite sure when this happened, because I was only up with them a week ago as well, and I had a quick peep inside. So, and you can see pollen there. It's a bit of chalk brood or a chalk fungus here, but otherwise that could be actually moulded pollen more so than anything else. This is where our cluster is. It is very small, and there's the queen. So she was still there, still alive. But I'm not seeing any signs of brood. So this colony hadn't started brooding yet by the look of it. Or that queen just simply wasn't laying on it, or never was going to this year. She was sort of towards the end of last year there. I thought she was on the way out. So I'm surprised that she is still there, to be honest. Once I discovered that this hive had died off. So it's hard to know whether our vermin friend got in before this little cluster died off or after. Now you can see there's a queen cell here, and there's plenty of queen cups, but that's a queen cell and it looks like it hatched. So I mean, that queen that's there could be in actual fact a virgin queen. Very hard to know. There's no brood of any description really to ascertain whether or not she was a drone layer. I'm really surprised at how small the cluster was, because it definitely wasn't this size only a couple of weeks ago. But that'll show you the attrition rate. And as well as that, when our little friend made its way in, and I'm calling him a little friend, made his way in, the bees probably, or more than likely, went to defend their nest, and a significant number of bees could have perished in that episode. But you can see, they were not short of stores. There's a ton weight of ivy honey in here. But a lot of these combs were destined for rendering, going to be changed out in the spring. So I won't really be using this comb in other colonies. Certainly the blacker ones. These ones here at the end aren't too bad looking. I haven't dated them, which is something you should be doing really, just to help with you changing out. But I generally go by the look of the comb. After a while it gets a bit gnarly looking at that one there is quite black. Be changing that out. Or I would have been changing it out if the colony had made it through the winter. There's a bit of brood there on that side. Nothing untoward in what's there, but the cluster obviously wasn't here. I mean, that was dead long ago, I would imagine. Now there's some brood here, so unless the cluster was brooding at this end, and that's what attracted our little friend in. But no, there's not enough until this is drawn comb here on this side. But when vermin gets into a hive like this and it makes a mess of it, it really does look nasty. You can see this. It just doesn't look nice at all. And you'd say to yourself, gee, imagine those combs, they're manky looking. But unfortunately that's just a combination of the damage that's done by the vermin. Thankfully he didn't damage the box. So this is a box that can be scrubbed out, sterilised, reused. But I will show you what I think my mistake is with the box. So this is the floor. And what I think my mistake might have been, I'm not too sure, but this screen should be screwed down. No, I see there's screw holes there, so it probably was screwed down. Well, no, there's no probably, it was screwed down. But it may have only been just screwed here and here, which then left this bit flexible. And anyway, what I had discovered was that this screen was pushed up towards the entrance like that, and this gap then was here, and this is obviously where he got in, and these two completely destroyed frames, and the third one, they were towards this back end. So he literally just came straight up into the hive here. He may have then been deterred at that point when the bees realised he was in there, and they might have attacked him. But then of course the other downside is that I've the entrance closed there now, but if I just open it here to see that screen, no, I was going to say it might have prevented the bees from exiting the box, but it didn't, or it doesn't look like it would have. And anyway, they would have maybe found their way out here. But so I'd love to know what kind of rascal it was. The reality is that I think, having gone through that box now, that the colony was on the way out anyway and wouldn't have made it. So wouldn't have made it through the winter, basically. Certainly looking at the cluster, the size that's there, very few bees. And again, when I looked back in them there 2 or 3 weeks ago, I certainly didn't look anywhere as deplorable as that, what I'm seeing now with the cluster. But so as I've said, it could be a combination of a lot of bees could have the attrition rate at this time of the year. You know, if bees aren't healthy going into the winter, if your overwintering bees aren't healthy, then their lifespan during the course of the winter is shortened, and lifespan is shortened. It's usually around this time of the year that actually kind of has the impact, because the drop-off rate, you know, during the middle of the winter, they're all more or less in a comatose state, but come then, say, into February, March, when the cluster starts moving then and the queen may want to start brooding, the bees become active, that's when you see a die-off, a significant die-off. And obviously in this instance I'm not seeing any brood at all, any capped brood, apart from those few little pieces that I uncovered there. Like that was literally only 4 or 5 cells on each side of that one frame, so it didn't look like that queen had started brooding. There's no bees then to replace those that are dying off, so very quickly the cluster shrinks. And then you have something catastrophic like this happening, where vermin breaks into the hive, bees go to defend it, and you could lose a significant number of bees that way. Depends on how long. I mean, he did some serious damage in this hive. There's 2 frames completely gutted and 1 he was starting into. And again, I'm only surmising the cluster may have been dead by the time this fellow broke in into the box. You know, but those bees look fresh enough. Normally you'd see them decomposing by this stage if it was, you know, 2 weeks ago or so that they died. So it's not all that long ago that this happened. And you know, the bees look relatively okay there in the frame. They haven't started completely decomposing yet. So yeah, I don't really see too many dead bees, and there's a few here on the floor, as you can see, but that's a bit of drop off from me just going through the frames even. So there wasn't a mass of dead bees at the bottom of the floor. So again, another sign that the cluster was very small at this stage. It's just unfortunate. But again, life in beekeeping, you're going to lose 1 or 2 colonies to this type of thing. Again, whether it was just colony failure before vermin got in, more than likely it's a cluster that wouldn't have made it much further anyway by the look of it, and I wouldn't have been wasting my time with it either way. So, but it's just to show you what can happen with your boxes, with your hive boxes, vermin getting in, especially with these poly boxes. That's I suppose one major downside of them that I see. I've had vermin attacks on several of them, and this year actually particularly bad. There's another site I have poly nuke boxes there. 2 or 3 of them something has been having a right go at them. Now, it hasn't actually broke into the colonies inside. The colonies are quite strong inside, but I have noticed that those colonies, I fed them today, and those colonies are a little bit on the nasty side, and that's usually a sign that something is bothering them. And so they just associated me with being that thing that is bothering them. So they had a good old go at me today, so I've got another 5 or 6 stings since yesterday. So yeah, unfortunately I couldn't video feeding them. It's located on a plot of land where the landowner, he likes to come out and hang around and have a chat, so it leaves it kind of difficult to film, but anyway, that was it would have been entertaining, I'm sure, to see me getting a few stings. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. The next video it'll be a fortnight's time, I would say, before I get the next video out. By that stage I might be getting to look in some of the hives, especially in the home apiary here. If the weather improves beginning of April or over the Easter break, I might try to get a look in at some of the hives just to see what's going on. At this stage, beginning of April, certainly I would like to be kind of starting into just assessing, queens, are they starting to lay, and some of the colonies are already booming, you can see it. So there may be a need at this stage then to equalise. Certainly by the second week of April I'd like to be equalising my colonies, and it's one of the methods I use to try and prevent swarming. And then we're into doing maybe demise splits then middle of May. Okay, so thanks for watching, and like and subscribe and all of that if you want to keep up to date, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you and bye.